Did you know the White House just dropped a 90-page report suggesting today's kids might be the sickest generation in American history? Science moves at the speed of funding. Your habits, they move at the speed of the next meal, the next bedtime, the next refill. Policy will catch up, but your family's health doesn't have to wait. Did you know the White House just dropped a 90-page report suggesting today's kids might be the sickest generation in American history? It's called the Make Our Children Healthy Again report, MAHA for short, and it lays out 4 major drivers behind what they call a full-blown pediatric health crisis. I read the whole thing so you don't have to, and in this episode I'm breaking down the most eye-opening claims, what the best science says, and the one habit you can change tonight to start making a difference. So here's the thing. This report wasn't cooked up by fringe wellness bloggers or health influencers on Instagram. MAHA was commissioned by federal agencies in May 2025 with input from over 60 medical, environmental, and public health experts. And it's blunt. It says rates of childhood obesity, early onset type 2 diabetes, anxiety, depression, and even cancers are climbing faster than any prior generation. But it's not chalking this up to bad luck or vague modern life complaints. The MAHA team identifies 4 big exposures driving this trend, things we've normalized in kids' lives but maybe quietly wrecking their health. And here they are: ultra-processed food, cumulative chemical exposure, screen-based stress-heavy lifestyles, and a tendency to medicalize rather than address root causes. We're going to unpack each of these, but more importantly, we'll look at what you can actually do. No alarmism, just grounded science and smart next steps. Let's start with food, specifically ultra-processed food or UPF. The MAHA report puts it like this: nearly 70% of the calories American kids eat now come from UPFs. What does that mean? We're talking about industrial products like chips, snack cakes, chicken nuggets, sugary cereals, energy bars, engineered in labs to hit that bliss point. They are dense in calories, stripped of fiber, and loaded with additives that don't belong in any real kitchen. And the kicker, they don't just fill the gaps, they push real food out of kids' diets. Now let's look at the evidence. First, the Hall 2019 randomized control trial. This was a gold standard feeding trial. Researchers gave adults 2 weeks of meals made entirely from ultra-processed ingredients, then compared that to 2 weeks of unprocessed meals, matched for macros, sugar, fiber, and calories. What happened? Participants on the UPF diet ate about 500 extra calories per day without realizing it. They gained weight, and fast. All because UPFs override satiety clues. They're designed to make us want more. Now let's zoom out. A 2024 umbrella review from Lane covering 45 meta-analyses found that for every 10% increase in UPF intake, risk of type 2 diabetes rose 12%, and cardiovascular risk rose 6%. And for kids, a JAMA Pediatrics cohort from 2021 followed 9,000 US children over 4 years. Those eating the most UPF gained excess weight faster, about 4 extra pounds by middle school, even after controlling for other factors. But here's the good news. You don't need to go 100% clean overnight. So what's the action step? Just swap 1 daily packaged snack for a whole food equivalent. Like trade a bag of fruit snacks for an apple with peanut butter. Studies show that cutting out about 150 UPF calories per day, roughly that one snack swap, could predict 10 to 15 pounds of weight difference over 5 years. Small hinge, big door. Okay, next up, the chemical cocktail. According to MAHA, today's kids are the first generation raised in a world saturated with 40,000 plus approved chemicals, from pesticides and flame retardants to plasticizers like phthalates and forever chemicals like PFAS. Now, no single chemical is necessarily the villain, but together, these exposures may interact in ways that disrupt metabolism, hormones, and even brain development. Let's look at the data. First, PFAS and obesity. A 2023 study in Environmental Health Perspectives analyzed blood levels in over 3,200 US kids. Those in the highest PFAS quartile had 1.7 times the odds of obesity, even after adjusting for diet and physical activity. Then there's agrochemicals. In a 2025 GeoHealth model, what they found is that in the US counties with the highest composite pesticide exposure, pediatric cancer incidence was 13% higher. These weren't isolated exposures. They were mixtures of legal, widely used chemicals. And finally, phthalates. A JAMA Network Open study in 2022 looked at 1,600 adolescents. High urinary phthalates were linked to a 55% higher risk of metabolic syndrome, and the effect was even stronger in boys. So what can you actually do about this? You don't have to move off grid, just follow the clean 3. First, filtered water. PFAS and other contaminants often show up in municipal water. A good carbon block or reverse osmosis filter can cut your exposure significantly. Secondly, fresh, not canned. BPA and phthalates leach from cans and plastics, especially when heated. And third, fragrance-free personal care. Many scented lotions, soaps, and sprays are loaded with endocrine disruptors. Unscented is better, and your nose will adjust. Studies show that families making these simple swaps can reduce chemical load by 30 to 40% within 2 weeks. Let's talk screens, sleep, and stress. The MAHA report points out that today's kids move less, sleep less, and stare at screens more than any other generation before. And the consequences are showing up in both body and brain. Here's what we know. A 2022 meta-analysis of over 50,000 teenagers found that each extra hour of social media use raised the depression risk by 13%. That's dose response. It adds up. And in 2024, a JAMA pediatric study looked at bedtime screen habits. Every 10 minutes of interactive screen use delayed sleep onset by 10 minutes and cut total sleep by 3 minutes. Multiply that by nights per year, chronic sleep debt builds fast. Now layer in physical activity. Only 16% of US adolescents meet the 60-minute daily exercise guidelines. During the pandemic, that dropped to just 9%. This combination, low movement, poor sleep, high screen time, isn't just a mood killer. It's a metabolic setup for weight gain, insulin resistance, and anxiety. So what's the action step? The 1-2-3 rule. 1 hour of real movement per day. Bike ride, dance, sports, it doesn't matter. 2 hours max of non-school leisure screen time. And 3 tech-free nights a week where phones charge outside bedrooms. Pilot programs using this rule saw that children slept an average of over 40 minutes more per night within a month. That's huge for mood, for hormones, and for health. And the next driver, the over-medicalization of kids. Now this one's a little bit more controversial. MAHA argues that in many pediatric cases, medication is being used as a first resort, not a last. Now let me be clear, meds can be life-saving, no question. But the report points out a growing trend of prescribing before thoroughly addressing sleep, nutrition, exercise, or psychosocial support. So let's look at the numbers. So first, CDC data from 2023 showed a sharp rise in prescription stimulants like Adderall and Ritalin, especially in teens and young adults. And after telehealth expanded, stimulant prescriptions jumped 14 to 19% in just 1 year. A 2024 pediatric study found antidepressant use among girls aged 12 to 17 increased by 130% after March 2020. That's not necessarily inappropriate, but it raises questions about how we screen, support, and intervene. And early antibiotics, a massive 2024 cohort in Italy tracked 284,000 kids. Those who got 3 or more antibiotic prescriptions before age 2 had a 24% higher risk of obesity by age 8. That's likely due to gut microbiome disruption, a well-known side effect of antibiotic overuse. So what can parents do? Before starting or renewing any chronic med, ask the 4 Ds. Do lifestyle matter? Dose minimal, duration defined, and de-prescribed plan. Pediatricians generally welcome these questions. They show partnership, not distrust. So, where's the signal and where's the noise? The strongest data, we know that cutting ultra-processed food and improving screen sleep movement balance. These show clear benefits for weight, mood, and metabolic health. And what's still emerging? How complex chemical mixtures can interact over decades, and how much long-term benefit or harm we might see from rising psychiatric med use in kids. MAHA also calls for a national exposome study, basically a kind of big data look at chemical life course exposure. It also recommends revisiting additive safety rules and pediatric prescribing patterns. But here's the thing, science moves at the speed of funding. Your habits, they move at the speed of the next meal, the next bedtime, the next refill. Policy will catch up, but your family's health doesn't have to wait. So tonight, just pick one thing. Swap the snack cake. Dock the phone outside the room. Go unscented. Then leave a comment below. What's the one habit you're changing this week and why? Because your story could be the nudge that someone else needs. And again, as always, I hope you appreciated this content and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.